Where would you like to go next?
Where would I like to go next? I definitely would like to make another feature, but I also want to do TV. I think we live in times now where filmmakers have to do both. Two completely different worlds, but I would love to do both. And just the same as always, I just want to find a great script where I have the feeling I haven't read the story before and there's just a copy of something that I've already read, which is hard because obviously there are bigger and better filmmakers than me that get those scripts first. So my approach has to be a little bit of a different one. If I just wait and sit and wait, that might never happen. So I kind of have to team up with writers to develop it and bring the first ideas out there so that it is actually mine and I can direct it rather than other people. And probably have to be more proactive in that than I used to be in the past. But that's where I want to go next. Yeah.
When you say proactive, what does that entail? Because you think about having to push a career forward in Hollywood, and you kind of think of like this pushy agenda, and if that's not in you as a person, because it's kind of like a used car salesman feeling to it, how do you be proactive when that goes against your nature?
Well, I would say proactive first on the creative level. That doesn't yet mean to talk to any producers or any buyers or any whatever, because true, I wouldn't know how to do that, and then there are people for that too. But it's obviously a different mindset if I just say I am the director for hire and I'm waiting for my agent to send me a script. That there is a script that I read and say this is great, that I then get to direct, the chances are pretty slim. Whereas if I have an idea that I like, and I team up with a writer and say, do you like this idea? Should we develop this together? And we even get it into treatment form. It doesn't even have to be a script. If we just write 5 pages of it, then we can take that out and talk to people and say, here's the idea, which again should speak for itself. I shouldn't have to be a used car salesman that does a great presenting job, but ideally the idea is kind of captivating enough. And then hopefully things would develop from there, that the company that we've pitched it to are paying for a first draft and things are going on their way. And the great thing is that I'm from the very beginning attached as a director. I don't have to go to the job interview and tell them my vision of whatever to win it over other directors that are doing the same, but I am, as one of the creators, I'm on board from the very beginning. I think that's how that would have to be done for someone in my position who is not a huge name in directing. Spielberg obviously doesn't have to do that because he gets the good project sent, but I have to kind of create a little bit more. So I think that's the proactive thing. It's just to create ideas myself more than I have in the past. Because in the past, the credo was let's only do greenlit projects, meaning projects that are already being financed and are ready to go. Because developing takes so long that you spend years of not getting paid for then the project to maybe fall apart, which is a risk. That's why in the past I always was hired for greenlit projects that then went, but you only get a certain quality of material like that, So to generate the idea yourself has these two advantages. One is you already like the seed of it all, which is huge, which is hard to find if you are snobby about it, and you are already attached as the creative force behind it. So those are two great starting points.
Do you really think there are stories that have not been done before?
Of course, that it goes back to every story has been told, but not every story has been told in new and original enough ways that make me either not recognize it as a story that has already been told, or that makes me forget that it's a story that has been told. So maybe it's just a rephrasing of the telling a new story. Maybe you're not telling a new story, but you are, it's like cooking, right? It's like you might not have a completely new, you might not suddenly eat things that have never been eaten before. I don't suddenly make a dinner out of plastic and metal and wood. I'm still using vegetables and whatever. But the recipe might be a completely new one. And when people eat it, it's an experience that they haven't had that way. That's basically all I'm looking for. Whereas a lot of scripts that you get are experiences that you've already had better and stronger, and it's a weaker copy of that. And that's kind of what you want to avoid, right?
What are your thoughts of making a living as a film director in 2019? Is it possible? Is it doable? Is it more so with television?
My thoughts on making a living as a filmmaker in 2019, it's definitely possible because people are doing it. I think it's a great time, especially for female filmmakers, which you can't point out enough that if I've seen my female director friends over the past years that have always bumped up against some wall of subtle sexism. There was just only so far they went. They were smarter than us male filmmakers and they were more committed, and yet if you saw the numbers, they just didn't get to direct the projects they should have. And I think that is very much over right now. All my female directing filmmakers, they are having stellar careers. One of them just had a commercial during the Super Bowl. You know, it's like out of short films one day and heading TV shows the next day. So for female filmmakers, I don't know if I've been alive during a better period. That comes with its deserved counterpart, that it's slightly harder for me, that I'm not a female filmmaker right now, to find TV projects, because it's just the time. Luckily, it's taken long enough off the female filmmaker. No show can afford this atrocity that happened before, where it was like 12 episodes made by 12 white male filmmakers. You know, when that was still the case, it was easy for me to find a job. But luckily, we're more woke now. You know, so. I kind of get a little bit of the taste of what that must have been like, where it's just hard to get that job, what it must have been like for them for years and years and years and years. And I've only done it for a year or two since that kind of the whole Harvey Weinstein thing kind of happened. And a lot of good stuff came out of that, in terms of society changes. But yeah, I would say for female filmmakers, this is the time, and I hope that it's not just a fashion that will reverse itself quickly, but that we really have started a new era, which also comes just with different stories being told differently. Like I don't know if that's politically correct to say, but I have the feeling that movies, projects that are directed by female directors, oftentimes they have a different feel to what their male counterpart would have done with it. And I think that's such a treasure for society to be exposed to both, rather than just to the male perspective that we've been living with for 100 years.